Oh shit, we're live. We're live. Now see, why don't I see? I guess because it's recording, like because it's going to be up on Twitter. I don't see the record button. So we'll just go with that and
You
we'll just go from
certainly,
there. But
yeah, you certainly are live.
I am live. Yeah, you see us?
Yeah, there you are. Discussing.
All right, man. Let's get this let's get this show started, Steve. Welcome back, everybody, to Laying the Points with Farley Betts. We are working through some kinks here because this is my first time broadcasting live from StreamYard. But it's bound to get a lot better, man, because we've had some things to work through with this podcast the past 2 weeks. And I'm sorry for anybody who's trying to listen to this podcast and had to jump through the hoops to get there. But we're back. We're like more official now, I feel like, because this is StreamYard. We can stream live. We can still put it up as a podcast. We're going to put it up with the Odds Breakers and all that other stuff. But just in case you guys don't know, my name is Chris R. Farley, a.k.a. Farley Betts, and I'm a contributing handicapper, writer, podcaster at theoddsbreakers.com. And I am joined this week, like I will be every week during the NFL season, by my friend, my fellow NFC East rival, expert educator and teacher by day, expert NFL handicapper by night, Steve Norman. Steve, how you feeling about week 3, man?
Oh, good. Glad to be back already. The NFL season is flying by. Trying to put week 2 behind us. I felt like that one was a little bit more of a edge to Vegas for that one compared to week 1. But week 3,
Yes.
we will see how this goes, and I'm excited to break it down with you.
Thanks, man. Yeah. And like I said, everybody watching and listening, hang with us here. We're working through some of these kinks. Like I don't know how to run these banners or this all the branding stuff on StreamYard quite that effectively yet, but we're gonna see what we can do. And if anybody has any questions throughout this broadcast, please shoot them in the comment box, and Steve and I will do our best to answer them as we go through this. I'm gonna take care of some business at first. So follow me at Farley Betts on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow Steve at Snorm, SNORM, twice on Twitter. That's Bobo Betts for the layperson. So Chris R. Farley, 1 on Twitter, or Farley Betts, and Farley Betts on Instagram and Twitter. Also, check out all the writers and fantastic things that are going on at theoddsbreakers.com. I'm a writer there. We have fantastic sports bettors and handicappers and writers there, always contributing stuff. We got guys like Nick Hub. Kyle Hunter shows up and just drops Kyle Hunter is 17-0 in college football the last 2 weekends. If that doesn't tell you something about what's going on at the Odds Breakers, I mean, that's unbelievable. Also, check out my premium picks. I give them out every single day. Please go through theoddsbreakers.com to find the links to be able to do that. Would love to give you guys my premium picks. I bet premium picks in every single sport. Not so much hockey, but we're getting there with hockey. Maybe I'll have to bring in Steve for that one too.
Oh God.
But also check out Sports Wagering University. That's at Sports Wager U on Twitter. That's a group that I've joined, and the whole premise of that is just to learn how to bet like a professional, learn how to bet like a sharp, learn, bet, win. And guess who's overseeing those classes at Sports Wagering University? Again, Kyle Hunter, who has been untouchable in college football so far. And hopefully he doesn't mind me saying that, but he's a mentor of mine. And that's the kind of class we got going on at the Odds Breakers and Sports Wagering U. And with that, let's get to some NFL talk, Steve. And I have to confront our circuit plays last week because Steve and I did not end up on the right side of most of those games. We had the Bears -2.5. That's the one we got. Bears squeaked by at the end there. Almost let the Bengals come back, right? I was like, oh my God, are we gonna lose every one of these picks? Steelers -6. We loved them. Steelers straight up lost to Vegas at home. I'm still kind of shocked by that, Steve. But a lot of Big Ben, a lot of injuries on defense. TJ Watt, man, is like the MVP of that defense. Probably one of the best football players in the league. So when he went down, made a big difference. I was bullish in the Dolphins +3.5. Love that hook. The Dolphins have been a covering machine, but clearly 35-0. We didn't even come close to that one. Tua's injury didn't help. Rams -3.5. Nope. The Colts came back in that one. Ended at 3. That's why that key number is important, folks. and then the Chiefs at -3.5. Forget about that too. We were feeling good about that one too. They were up by 2 scores, end up losing to the Ravens. So man, not our best showing, Steve, but we have a lot of time. This is a marathon, not a sprint. And I'm fully transparent. People who follow me in the NBA, MLB, you know that I'm sharp. However, last week, not so much. Went down 12 units. That gave me a big slice of humble pie. But I can only expect improvement this week and moving forward, especially with Steve here as we bounce things back and forth. But Steve, how'd you do last week?
Yeah, like I said, it was a rough week. I went 8-7 and only was plus 0.79 in the units because of the juice. So at least we were in the green on my side, so I can't complain too much. I always when I used to play poker, I always said I'd rather win a $2 hand than lose 50 and getting aces cracked. So can't really complain with that one. But like you said, it is early. It's a marathon, not a sprint. If we were going 1-4 every week, we'd be looking maybe at that bottom end 100K to go for last place. But we're not there yet. So yeah, we'll bounce back and we'll be all right.
And that's the thing, it takes talent. It takes talent to do as bad as I did last week. I mean, it takes talent to do really good one week, but my goodness, I was getting smashed left and right. But yeah, it's a long season, especially in Circa, right? It's going to count for the full record. Would have liked to get one of those quarter season wins, like contest wins. I don't think that's going to happen for us, but I guess we'll see, man. But let's get through these games. We got 16 games again, no teams in a bye, 32 teams, 16 games. All of our lines are brought to you by betonline.ag. It's the book I use. They're nice and early with their lines. Always, they actually have some look-ahead lines for like late October. So they're pretty quick at getting to it. And we're actually going to start this one a little different. Steve, I know you're probably chomping at the bit to talk about this. Steve has an interesting take on this. I know this already, but we're going to go to the Monday Night Football game to start off, which is the Philadelphia Eagles. Steve's, in case you can't tell by that Flyers picture behind them, yeah. Philadelphia Eagles going to Dallas as it is opened up as 4.5-point underdogs. I took that. Okay, I'll just be transparent. I took the Eagles at 4.5. Now it's at 4. Total set at 52. Steve, what do you have to say?
Well, how much time do you got? No, I just last week I was pretty much all over San Francisco -3 and saying that I felt like Nick Sirianni was going to get a little too cute with his play calling, and lo and behold, I mean, we had to see the Philly special again on a key 4th down that came up short after a 91-yard pass. I just feel like the Eagles pretty much got absolutely exposed on offense. The play calling by Sirianni I felt atrocious. There had no rhythm, rhyme, or reason. It felt like I was playing Madden out there. I was either dropping back, going forward on 4th down, chucking up 50-yard bombs, hoping to get a pass interference or have a magical catch in double coverage. And then again, going with a Philly special when we had control of the game. Defense was playing well, and then getting no points after a 91-yard completion. San Francisco marched right back and then took the lead into halftime. So, and that's where the question lies with this Eagles team is where is Sirianni and this team being so young with Hurts, dropping back and then just running a lot. I didn't really see any consistency. I wasn't too impressed by them. Who I was impressed by, though, was the Dallas Cowboys going out West Coast, playing a talented Chargers team in Justin Herbert. Their defense showed up, and only allowing 17 points from the Chargers was very impressive and very unlike the Cowboys, who usually, as we know, getting to these massive shootouts. I was talking to Chris, and we loved the over. It was 17 points combined in the first quarter. It was looking phenomenal. And then that game just slowed down, and it became an actual defensive chess match, which I was very surprised by. But I just feel like the Cowboys have a very sound offense that is that has a lot more rhyme and reason to it. Dak is coming out this year, and the Cowboys could very well be 2-0 right now. Brady coming back at the end there, leading them down the field. But I think Dallas is a good team, and this is their division to certainly lose. Eagles had some tough injuries last week with Brandon Graham going down on defense, and now Brandon Brooks on offense from the line. And I just think the only way that Philadelphia keeps this game close and has a shot is if their defense holds the Cowboys to 17 points or under. But I just don't see it with the explosiveness of Dak and all their offensive weapons. I really like Dallas here to cover -4, if not beyond that.
Yeah, I liked what Dallas showed week 1 against the Bucs, even on defense. Even though Tampa Bay, I mean, they're scoring on everybody. Tom Brady's going to have like one of the best few games of his career at 44. But the Dallas defense showed a lot more effort than we're used to seeing from them the first week. Second week, same thing. I mean, boy, the officiating in that game with the Chargers and the Cowboys was bad, man. I mean, I've never seen two teams go up and down the field between the 30-yard line over and over. I think there was one punt in that entire game. And yet we didn't hit the over, right? We were both on the over for that one. So that game was a little confusing from that perspective. Still felt like the Chargers should have won it to me. Dak wasn't on the field for a lot of it, so especially in the second half, just couldn't get on the field. I think he was on the field for like 2 minutes in third quarter or something. But I have to be impressed by the Dallas defense for sure. They faced two of the better offenses in the league in the first 2 weeks. I think Justin Herbert is an absolute stud. Made a few mistakes, but some of those balls that he was throwing, man, was like, whoa. So he's going to do that on a lot of defenses. So you're right. I mean, for the Cowboys to keep them to 17 points, even with the bad officiating, was still impressive. But I don't know, man. I'm still getting a significant number here at 4. This is an NFC East battle. I don't think the Cowboys have a great home field advantage. I always think that kind of like almost like adds, the pressure on them being in Jerry's world because, Jerry's walking around, he's like overseeing everything. There's a lot of eyes on those games. I have to go with Philly here. I know I already got a +4.5, which I like even more, but I still like it at 4 because I'm getting over the key number of 3. I could see, I mean, it's just, I feel like we're going to go back to one of those old school NFC East battles where the Eagles are a lot more competitive. Because I know you said that they got smashed last year by the Cowboys in that one game, but there was a lot of things going on that were different, with both of those teams. I like what I see from Jalen Hurts as far as his, the fighting mentality. I mean, they almost came back last week against a really good 49ers. I mean, 49ers have one of the deepest rosters in the NFL. And the Eagles were winning at the line of scrimmage pretty often, especially on defense at first. I mean, that was impressive. I don't think Dallas is going to win at the line of scrimmage every single time. And Dak is feeling it, but I have to take Philly here. If this line moves to 3, I might consider taking the boys. I'm going to stay away from the total because I don't know which side is. Are we going to see another like crazy, crazy performance by the Dallas defense where they like overplay again? Plus, it's an NFC East battle, so you kind of want to think under. But both of these teams have looked pretty effective on off. Well, I guess Philly more so in week 1, but when you have the Cowboys in there, you kind of want to go with the over, but this is an NFC East battle, so I'm gonna steer away from that. All right, well let's move on to the Panthers and the Texans. Texans are 7.5-point dogs at home Thursday night. Total is set at 43, and so short story is we have Davis Mills. Is that his name? David Mills? Davis Mills?
Davis, yeah, Davis.
Yeah, yikes. Going to be sent out there. Texans now without their leader in Tyrod Taylor, who is playing well. I mean, the Texans were competitive with the Browns. We know that they blew out the Jaguars in the first week of the season. Steve and I were all over that one. The Texans are competitive, but Panthers, man, I believe in the Panthers. The Panthers sitting at 2-0. They have a favorable schedule. They're going to keep on learning, growing. They have a lot of studs on defense, man, a lot of young talent. Sam Darnold looks comfortable in the pocket. I like what I'm seeing from him. Has their competition been, really, really good so far? I don't know, right? Because we saw two different Jameis Winstons. I mean, that was crazy last week. But lots of young studs for the Panthers. I like their confidence. I like their momentum. Amendola is out for the Texans too. Even though it's at Houston, my favorite play on this one, I have some more plays for my premium customers, so this is a little little salesmanship there for premium. But my favorite play in this one is a teaser. I'm going to tease down the Panthers to -1 or just to win straight up, depending on what the line is. And I'm going to tease the total up so that I can get under 50. The Carolina defense is for real. They, according to Football Insiders, they're a top 5 team both on offense and defense. Number 1 in DVOA so far. I don't think that's completely fake news. I think the Panthers are going to really shut down the Texans here. And I love the Panthers winning straight up, and I don't think there's going to be a lot of points in this one.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you on this one. Sam Darnold, I think, as we continue, is going to keep getting more confident in this Panthers offense. You know, the reason why, Houston has been so competitive and going back and forth in these games is Tyrod Taylor. I mean, he was a journeyman veteran quarterback that, he was able to really keep them in games. And I'm not sure that the Browns would have won that game if he didn't get hurt, because they looked like they were giving them a lot of trouble. And now we have Davis Mills coming in, who, this is, I feel, just going to be pretty much a standard dink and dunk for him trying to just survive with this roster. He does not have near the talent as dynamic as Tyrod is. And I think the Panthers are really going to just control possession. McCaffrey's an absolute animal. Maybe even we'll see Robbie Anderson get more involved. He's only had nine targets, I believe, so far, which is crazy. And they're undefeated at 2-0. Usually you would think him and Moore have pretty much switched roles. Now he's hitting the short slants and Moore's hitting all the deep routes. So we'll see what happens with the Panthers in that regard. But I really like the Panthers to cover the 7.5.
Love it, Steve. Yeah, we're both on the same side for that. I actually, I won't give that away, but the actual side I like. But I guess I gave away the teaser. We'll just give that away for now. But Steve on 7.5 for the Panthers. You can probably tell which way I'm going with that one too. I didn't see Kevin Woods here. Kevin, I know you from Twitter. I appreciate the comment, man. Leans Philly. Cowboys shouldn't be able to run, and that will be one-dimensional. Eagles have been stout against the run. That is for sure.
Yes, they have.
Hard to know. San Francisco is all banged up at the running back position, but I don't think that's fake news. I think the Eagles are going to be solid all year against the run. So thank you for that, Kevin. I better move my notes so that I see some of these comments. I'll just have to check every now and then. But let's go on to the Cardinals and the Jaguars. Jaguars 7.5-point dogs. Let's see. Total is set at 52. Jaguars at home, like I said. Is this you first, Steve, or is this me?
Yeah. So as we've seen, Kyler has just been absolutely electric and dynamic. He has to be a front runner right now in the first 2 weeks as an early MVP contender. I mean, he has put up some serious numbers, and their offense has not slowed down. They got into that battle with Arizona. With the Vikings. Fortunately, Vikings have not found a kicker yet, so they remain 2-0. I really love the Arizona in this matchup to just continue to keep rolling, putting up the numbers. And a little thing, Lawrence, he leads the league in 36% of his throws have been uncatchable, leading the league. So I think Arizona gets back to their week 1 dominant defense on the road, like we saw against the Titans, and won't be giving up as many points as they did in the shootout against Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, what is it about like finding satisfaction in somebody failing? I don't know. But Trevor Lawrence, I kind of like that he went from high school undefeated, college undefeated, pros 0-2, bro. It's kind of cool to see the difference between college and pro. Like, you're not just going to step into this thing and just throw all over these like world-class athletes, right? So Trevor Lawrence feeling that a little bit. Talk about a big slice of humble pie. I think the Cardinals are getting a little overvalued here. Still 2 weeks in. I mean, there's a lot of things to be impressed by. But, I mean, they're 7.5-point favorites on the road. I mean, that's a lot. At the same time, it's kind of the only way I can go in this one. I mean, I'm not going to take the Jaguars. The Jaguars have looked – or, I mean, they don't look good. Trevor Lawrence looked bad last week. I mean, again, playing a good defense there and everything, but he just did not look good, man. I mean, and Urban Meyer's adjustments are not good at the half. Now, on the flip side, Kyler Murray, absolutely, he's the man. I mean, if you didn't watch any NFL football before, and all you watched are the last 2 weeks of the NFL, you would think that Kyler Murray was one of the greatest players to ever play the game. I mean, the way that he runs around in the backfield and makes things happen, and he can put the ball in the right place. He's unbelievable to watch. But so as a pro bettor, I want to take the Jags because we're getting the key number 7. We're over it. Home dog. Jags are 0-2. I mean, pretty perfect setup just from the numbers and a betting standpoint, but I can't do it. I mean, if I'm going to go any direction, I'm going to take the Cardinals. I guess for now, I'll just say that I like the Cardinals as a teaser leg. I think there's a few good teaser legs this week, and you can, tease those Cardinals right down to a win. Cannot see the Jags getting their first win against this Cardinals, offense is just in a groove right now. I also do kind of like the over. The Jags can still move the ball, and Trevor Lawrence, he likes to throw a lot of picks, so that could create a lot of short fields, right? The Cardinals are in a flow state right now, so I kind of like the over on this one. 52 is high, but I think a tease on the over or just a straight up play on the over is probably a good look as well. Let's move on to the Colts Titans. Titans are 5-point favorites at home. Totals 48. I'll start with this one. I took the Colts when they were 5.5. It was almost like a betting reaction to do that, like an impulse, because I thought that was a good number for a divisional matchup. Again, getting over some key numbers. But I mean, who likes what we saw from Carson Wentz? I mean, the guy, as you said at the start of the season, Steve. I mean, you kept saying this. You don't think Carson Wentz is going to look much different, and he doesn't. He's still holding on to the ball too long. He's like asking for pressure. He's just like asking for the offense to make mistakes. He's throwing it into coverage. I mean, there were some unbelievable passes that he made in that game. But it's like 1 every 10 passes he does that. Like, it's not enough. He keeps on showing flashes. So I since we don't know who's going to play a quarterback yet, I mean, I haven't seen anything today. Have you?
Nothing. Yeah, I was just looking it up too. So,
I mean, Jacob Eason looked good in the preseason, but I mean, what are we supposed to think about that in a divisional game at Tennessee? It also could be kind of fake news with Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee was down 2 scores late last week. Showed a lot of gusto, a lot of moxie coming back. I mean, I appreciate that. But Tennessee has a lot of holes on defense still. Their offense is still a little inconsistent at the start of the season. But I could also see this being a game that they figure out and kind of blow out the Colts, who have a lot to figure out right now. The one thing I'll say about the Colts is they hung in there with the Rams. I mean, personnel-wise, they were toe-to-toe with the Rams. And I have to believe that if Carson Wentz was a better quarterback, or if somebody more competent was in there, they're probably going to come back and win that game. But they blew it. The Rams went right down the field on that defense, which was, I mean, I thought the Colts defense was going to look better than this. So I'm off this game, Steve. This game just scares me in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, no, I definitely see where you're coming from on that, because the Colts are almost, if not already, in desperation mode. I mean, if they go 0-3, their next 2 games are at Miami and then at Baltimore. I mean, it's not going to get any easier. They have a 3-game road stretch here. So, there's an old saying, hungry dog runs fast. So, this is where those teams do show up out of nowhere where you're like, what the hell happened? How are they beating this team? But I just have to say, Carson Wentz is just exhausting. Like, I used to advocate and go to bat for this guy so much, and now seeing him with another team, and it's just like, you're still doing all the things that we like. You show those flashes. You show like that one pass that it's like, yeah, that's why he's so good. Did you see when he was sprained both his ankles, him still try to throw that damn ball? Like, what was that? Like, he's just
overly confident, I think.
Yeah. It's like, Jesus. But if he does go in this game, first of all, he's not going to be 100%. Both his ankles are sprained. They're saying the worst sprain is his right foot, which would be his right throwing, his planning foot. I was impressed with the Titans coming back from behind, because we always talk about the Titans, how they, are pretty much a ground team, it showed they ran the ball 35 times and were still able to come from 2 scores down. That's pretty impressive, especially playing somewhere in Seattle. Usually they're not built to play from behind, and that showed when they lost to Arizona week 1 because they looked completely lost. If Eason is getting the start, and this is to be his first career start, I really just don't see how you cannot take Tennessee just being on the road with a guy getting his first career start. So I'm going to lean towards Tennessee on that. And even if Carson Wentz does get the start, he just hasn't proven anything to me yet. He still looks like he's scared in the back. Like he's got those happy feet holding onto the ball and ultimately going to get himself hurt.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're pretty okay with the fact that Wentz left Philly.
Yes. Yeah. I can't do it anymore.
Can't do it.
I said before the season starts, oh, watch, he's gonna be really good with the Colts. Okay.
Yeah, I said that too. I mean, on paper with Frank Reich and everything, right? It's like, hey, new star, Carson, let's go. But man, things are falling apart quick, man. And you're right, 0-3. I mean, this is a team that was the favorite to win that division going into this. With their, I mean, and a lot of sharps were high on the Colts. Like midsummer. Could very possibly go 0-3 here. Kind of crazy. All right, let's move on. Ravens at Lions. Lions 8-point underdogs at home. Another home dog. Totals at 50.5. Steve, what do you say?
Yeah, home dome dog too. I mean, so the Ravens, we you and I were talking like, could you imagine the Ravens are going to probably start 0-2, and now it's like they got their complete swagger back and they're a top 5 team. So, on the other hand, Detroit came out in Green Bay in the first half, and I was like, well, hot damn, they actually look like they might have a decent squad a little bit here, competing up at half, 17-14, then just didn't show up in the second half. The one thing that scares me though is this Detroit team. They don't quit. They keep playing. Even in that Packers game, which looked like it was completely out of reach, they could have still backdoored that at the end. They had multiple opportunities that if they put a drive together, they could have backdoored that. Depending on week 1 when they were getting blown out, San Francisco, where you had their line, they in some cases at 8 points, they covered that against some people. This team is, I don't know if it's because they're led by, PC principal Dan Campbell, that they just get up for him. They have that, that grit or that insane speech he gave at the beginning over the summer. I forget how it even goes about what was it, eating the other player. I don't know, but they do get up for him, and I would not be shocked if Ravens are up by 12 or 13, what have you, and lo and behold, they have another backdoor opportunity where I'm just honestly, even though it's a home dome dog, which I usually like, I'm going to fade this one and see really more of where the Ravens are with their offense and what Lamar is going to be about this year.
Yeah, a lot of the same thoughts. Sometimes I feel like when you talk to the same person about football, you start to have like in sync thoughts. But definitely same thought for me about the Lions, man. I mean, they hung on that. It felt like they should have covered last week. I mean, they had 2 opportunities. Goff with a few mistakes through that really bad pick. They were certainly competitive in that first half. And yeah, Dan Campbell said something like, he said, if you punch us in the face, we'll knock out your kneecaps. We'll be the last one standing. He's a bad. I mean, the guy looks like he could just walk off on the field and start playing right now. He's someone you can definitely get behind. I love a home dog that plays like that as well. But like you said, man, the Ravens are the kind of team, and we've seen it last year. We've seen it with Lamar Jackson. He loves to beat up on these underdogs. They love to crush these underdogs. They feel like they got their swagger back. Like you said again, I mean, I still can't believe they won that game against KC. I mean, I'll probably get a lot of flack for this continually throughout the season, but I'm still not a Lamar believer in winning a championship because I do think you have to make the big throws down the line when we get to those big games in the playoffs. You have to make the big throws. You just have to. And kudos to John Harbaugh. I mean, they're a great team, great coaching, and Lamar is tough as hell, man. I mean, like he knows how to run. I like the kid a lot, but I just don't like his passing, and that's going to catch up to him. But against the Lions, I don't have a lot to fear. And the Baltimore defense stepped up last week when it had to. The one thing that concerns me about taking Baltimore here is that the Lions' offensive line is very legit. I mean, in the first half especially, everyone saw Goff had all day. And the Ravens aren't quite as skilled, I think, on defensive line this year as they were after they lost a few guys. The Lions could stay in this game. The play I probably like on this is the over, because I think that the Lions will get some points here, and I think the Ravens will probably score at will on the Lions because I think they have a lot of momentum now. And this is the kind of game plan that can work against a team like the Lions, especially in a dome. I mean, Lamar on the turf, forget about it. So I like the over, but I'm not going to take a side because it's too many points for me. But I still wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens blew them out. So I'm not sure how to think about that one. Let's move on to the football team at the Bills. Bills 7.5-point favorites at home. Total set at 45. I already took Washington at +9. Just thought it was too many points. The thing that's scaring me here is that the Bills have a lot of sharp support. Even though this line has moved down, I think that's more. I don't know what that is, because every sharp that I hear talk about this game loves the Bills. This could be a good teaser play here as well. I'm hearing that a lot. Teasing below those key numbers. The thing I'm most impressed by the Bills so far is their defense. I mean, they're second in yards allowed. Panthers number one. But the Bills have done a really good job. Now, again, Tua went down last week. They faced a football team in week 1, not exactly a stalwart offense, but we knew Josh Allen would come back and show out. But I didn't think that the Bills defense would be this good. I think they were due for some improvement this year. But that they're looking really good. And so Heineke, who I couldn't help but also be impressed by last week. I mean, I still can't believe that the Giants blew that game. Don't get me started on that one. Washington should have lost that game. Period. The football team should be 0-2. Things went their way. That's fine. I was impressed by Heineke, no doubt. Guy is not scared to squeeze the ball in there. So it's impressive, but I can't take a side here because at 7.5, I think this is probably favoring the Bills now that came down a little bit, but 7 is such a huge key number again. I like that I have it at +9. If it gets to 7 or 6.5, which I don't think is possible, then I would look at the Bills. For now, I'm going to stay away and consider a teaser leg. What say you, Steve?
Yeah, actually, that one caught me off guard because when I was doing all my write-ups today, I had the line at 8.5, but I didn't know it moved another point down. And I'm looking at the totals right now of bet percentages, and it looks like it's dead even. So that's kind of interesting right now. So that is definitely one you want to monitor and see where those bet percentages are. That's a little bit concerning. Specifically for me, if I wanted to be on the Bills side, because I feel like a lot more people, like you said, are taking the Bills. So that would just be interesting if it did show a little reverse line movement there. But my big questions for this one is, Heineke, as we know, he is an absolute gamer. I really enjoy watching him. He's fun to watch. I love his story coming in as a backup. The only question I have about him is he's always had a good situation with the home crowd. He's always gotten to play at home with Washington. He's never been on the road yet. So, going into a rowdy, degenerate stadium, like not degenerate, but obnoxious stadium like the Buffalo Bills, that's going to be a crazy environment. This fan base feels like they got one stolen from them week 1. So they're coming off a really good win down in Florida. So coming back home now, that's going to be a really hard place. And he's going to be tested, I think, on the road. One thing is the Washington defensive line. We anointed them preseason as one of the best defensive lines coming into this season, and I don't know if I've really seen that yet. The Giants' offensive line, who was supposed to be very very atrocious this year, seemed to handle them actually very, very well, and they could not contain on Daniel Jones and his 4.8 speed. He ran all over them. Okay, now they're coming into Buffalo with Josh Allen, who loves to run, very mobile. That could pose a big problem for them. So I'm interested to see that matchup to see if they're able to contain Josh Allen. But as of now, I am definitely leaning towards the Bills on that 7.5.
Yeah, and good. I skipped over that in my notes too, but good. I'm glad you said that. Washington's defense kind of sucks. so far. I mean, their secondary can't stop a pass. And you're right, that was wild seeing the Giants' offensive line hold back those the big boys that have been so vaunted in the offseason. I mean, come on. Like, I don't know what's going on with Washington, but I don't think Josh Allen's too scared. So that's going to be interesting to see if they finally start improving and showing out, because they're going to need to against Josh Allen. Let's go to the Saints and Patriots. Saints 3-point underdogs on the road at Gillette Stadium. Total set at 42. This one goes to you first, Steve.
Yeah, let me. I'm sorry. I'm just going to take one more comment about that Washington game. I forgot in my notes here that Washington they are last in the league in third down efficiency, and that's also with being at home. So that comes into play now that they're on the road. So if they're not staying on the field on offense, just look out for that as well. So,
absolutely. What are your thoughts on the Saints Pats?
Saints Pats. Well, Jameis Winston, this is going to be a roller coaster. Last week, I absolutely love taking the Panthers. Jameis Winston as a favorite, that it just scares the hell out of me on the road. So now we're getting points again with Jameis Winston and going against a rookie quarterback who I don't know. There's so much hype around Mac Jones, and all I see him as right now is just a pure game manager. I don't get the hype right now. He's okay. Like, yeah, he's winning games. He won one game. He beat the Jets, and they gave him 4 turnovers. So let's relax. Like, why are they favored by 3? Saints are getting their whole coaching staff back, which I also do believe played a big part last week. And Winston as an underdog, he performs better. I just feel that he feels way better when he, as an underdog, can come in on the road, not have the expectations. I like the Saints. I believe it's at 3. I know it moved to 2.5 earlier today. So, yeah, it's back at 3. I like the Saints on this one, getting the points on the road against, a rookie quarterback. And to be frank, the only thing that would stop the Saints from winning this game outright is Jameis Winston. So whoever's going to win it is going to be Jameis Winston. Whoever's going to lose it will be Jameis Winston, because I don't think Mac Jones is going to be balling out to beat anyone.
Yeah, I mean, my first thoughts in this game is I hate this game. I mean, it's right at the key. It's right at the key number of 3. Probably a lot of defense in this one. We saw what the Pats can do on defense. So it's set at 42, which feels about right. And 2 quarterbacks that couldn't be more opposite. I totally agree with you about Mac Jones. I mean, he manages the game. He makes good passes, but he doesn't really push it down the field. He doesn't take a lot of risks. Whereas on the other side of the field, we have Jameis Winston, who, if he's down, he's going to chuck it. If he's up, he's going to chuck it. I mean, we saw the best version of Jameis in week 1. We saw the worst version of Jameis in week 2. I don't know which one we're going to see this week. I'm sure the offensive coaches that were out of that game made a big difference, but that was not a good look. It wasn't a good look for the Saints on offense. It wasn't a good look for the Saints on defense. I mean, their defense was formidable in the first half, but then they just started opening up some windows and avenues for the Panthers. I mean, it just wasn't a great look for the Saints all around. But I would have to, the weird thing about games like this is, even though you have that first gut feeling, I hate it. So I should probably stay away from it if I have that, because, there's something in my brain that's telling me that knows something. But I have to favor the Saints here, because like you said, I mean, Patriots don't inspire me much on offense. And we still have one of the most creative play callers in the league in Sean Payton. Jameis Winston, as a dog, like you said, on the road, here's a spot, people doubting him again. Maybe he's going to get like some more eye surgery right before this game and get things cleared up. But like, he's so off again, on again, man. I just don't know what to think. But I would have to lean towards the Saints in this one as well. Let's go Chargers and Chiefs. Chiefs 6.5-point favorites at home, fresh off that loss here in Baltimore, and total set at 55. So this one's me first. I don't have a lot of deep, like, ATS thoughts on this one. My real thought, or my only real thought, is that the Chiefs haven't covered. I mean, the Chiefs aren't a covering machine like they used to be anymore. I think they're 1-11 ATS in the last 12. I was trying to look for the stat. It's something like that. And all the Chargers do is play games close. The Chargers probably should have won that game last week against the Cowboys. That's what it felt like to me. Justin Herbert pushes the ball, sometimes a little too much, right? He tries to squeeze it in there. He trusts his arm. But the Chiefs defense has issues, man. I mean, Lamar and the Baltimore offense kind of exposed that a little bit last week in the second half. Held them in check. Chiefs at home is always scary, but I might pay for this number to go up to 7, or maybe it'll go up to 7 eventually. And I would like that even more. But I'm on the Chargers side on this one, man, because this is a divisional game. I think they can keep it close. And I don't trust the Chiefs to cover as much as I used to.
Yeah, I agree. Points allowed. Chiefs are bottom 5 in the league right now. So their defense is not doing what they should be. I mean, what was that one play where Lamar ran up to the line and off balance threw it to Hollywood Brown for a 40-yard touchdown? Like, what are they doing in their secondary? Like, allowing that wide open. So there's blown coverages everywhere. And I think this is a game, being a divisional game, where, Justin Herbert will get back on track and show why he was Rookie of the Year, slinging that ball with that talented offensive receivers, getting Mike Williams even more heavily involved this year. Really like to see. I am, as well as you, I am leaning and more on the Chargers at this 6.5. I also would really look into the over on this one, seeing how the Chiefs have been allowing so many points, but how quick they are in turn to be able to match and score. I could see this turning into a vintage shootout very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. I would lean to that side too, but man, that's a high one. That's it's a high total for a divisional game, but I would lean the total still. Might be a better teaser play for me. Let's go Falcons at Giants. I got a lot to say about this, Steve, but I'll pass it to you first.
You should take the Giants, man. Go ahead.
All right. So Giants 3-point favorites. Oh God, good Lord. At home, total set of 47.5. Deep breath. Here we go. The Giants, first of all, do not cover as the favorite. Let me just say that right now. I mean, the Giants that I've known in the past 5 years, I do not have the cover stats in front of me, but I can almost guarantee you, just anecdotally being a fan and watching every game, the Giants don't cover as a favorite. They covered last year as a dog. They don't cover as a favorite. But this is 3. So we're at the key number. Both of these teams, let's face it, have a lot to work on. Falcons, not sure why they were favored again in week 1. I'm still perplexed by that. We saw that take a turn. And then, last week I was on the Falcons again. I thought plus 12.5 was pretty good. They kept it close. Matt Ryan throws 2 pick sixes. So that, fucked that one up for me. So, I mean, the Falcons are just flawed throughout their roster. The Giants, this is a typical scenario where we can get high on the Giants because they played well against Washington. The Giants always play well against Washington. I don't know what that is. The Giants just aren't intimidated by the Skins or football team or whoever it is. Very intimidated by the Eagles. We suck against you guys, but especially Eli. But DJ looked good. He looked a lot better last week. Didn't make any mistakes. I do like the play calling. They're actually throwing it on first down. They have some run pass option with Daniel Jones. The guy is athletic. The guy can run. I think we all know that by now. But again, the Giants, to trust them as a favorite, man, I don't know. I don't trust the Falcons. You would have to pay me, for me to make this a circa pick. But God help me, I lean the Giants -3 because I do think that their offense can have their way with the Falcons, and the Giants are better on defense than what they've shown. I mean, they've faced 2 offenses that played over their head a little bit. Teddy Bridgewater in week 1 against the Giants, he clearly is comfortable there in Denver. I think their passing attack is better than people think. Heineke wasn't scared. You're throwing all over the Giants. But I don't know what to expect from Matt Ryan, but I don't think he's going to conquer the Giants here and throw all over to them. But so you can tell my head's all over the place with this one, Steve. I want to take the Giants. I want to tell you guys to take the Giants. Giants as a favorite. Be careful. All right, what do you think?
No, I think you said it exactly right. Yeah, just be careful with this game. But so I get on Nick Sirianni about being too aggressive, too cute. It's all situational though. Where Arthur Smith is just beyond conservative that it's mind-boggling for me as a coach. You're 12.5-point dogs on the road against Tom Brady and the Bucks. Granted, yes, okay, coaches don't care about the spreads and whatnot, but it's the first half and it's 4th and 1 from midfield, and you're going to punt, knowing you're going to give the ball back to Brady, and he's most likely going to score another touchdown. Like, what are we doing here? Are you even trying to win? Like, 4th and 1 from midfield punting was a thing back in like the early 2000s and 90s. Okay, now, this new, I mean, look at Harbaugh and the Ravens. They went for it 4th and 1 from like their 45-yard line to win the game. Like, let's grow a little set here, Arthur, and let's start playing some football and trying to at least compete and win here. Daniel Jones looked good last week. He really did. I thought the Giants should have won that game. I mean, he was running all over Washington. You know, the unfortunate offsides call, but don't ever put yourself in a position where you got to let a ref, call a game for you. Having said all that, I'm going to stay away from this one completely because let's be honest, these are just two bad teams, and you just don't know who's going to show up. Matt Ryan is still a veteran quarterback that can, with Ridley, ball out sometimes. And Daniel Jones, I mean, if we can get Barkley going, that'd be nice to see him get a little bit back into form. But, he's kind of been a shadow of himself ever since his rookie season. So I'm going to stay away from this game and kind of just more enjoy the Sunday football watching and waiting for the Eagles on Monday night.
Yeah, my magic 8-ball tells me that I can see Saquon in the open field dominating the Falcons on, when the Giants are on offense. But again, man, I'm terrified. I'm terrified of the Giants as a favorite. Let's go to the Bears, the Browns. Browns 7-point favorites at home. Total set at 45.5. Send this one over to you first, Steve.
So big news. Fields is now getting the start, the go-ahead, the green light against the Browns. So that definitely is going to shake some things up. Fields came in last week. I wouldn't say he exactly managed the game that well. I mean, he almost gave Bengals an opportunity to really jump back in it with his turnovers. So it kind of makes me a little nervous. Browns, on the other hand, haven't looked the best. They really haven't. As last week, they did not do. I was very high on them to cover that 12.5. I thought they were going to come out and absolutely ball out. After 2 games and all the points they scored, Baker Mayfield's actually only thrown 1 touchdown pass, and it was just a screen pass to Felton. So they're doing a lot of their business on the ground game, and I could see this game kind of actually being kind of a back and forth running attack, not too much through the air based on what I'm seeing with Baker. We got Landry out as well. Odell Beckham, I think, should be coming back. I'm not sure about that, but I think he is going to be coming back. That question remains. Will they revert back to the old Browns when Odell was playing and, he was forcing the ball to Odell, and that's when all the issues were causing? Because we all know when Odell is on the field, there will be drama regardless. So, that could definitely change this image of the Browns very quickly. So it's just something to keep an eye on. Right now, even though it is a rookie on the road, the Bears defense looked very impressive last week for me against the Bengals. I think had 4 or 5 turnovers. And the Browns at home just weren't really doing it for me. I'm leaning with the rookie quarterback, actually, getting the 7 on the road.
I love that, Steve. I took the Bears at plus 7.5. Of course, that was before I knew it was going to be Justin Fields. But I'm even happier about that. I mean, I can't overthink his, near mistakes last week or, some of the poor play that he had, just because that's a tough spot to be in. You go in the game, your team's up. You also want to kind of impress, right? Like you want to show out a little bit. So maybe you're forcing it a little too much than you should. But I think now with a full week of game planning, because I'm sure that they decided this early last week, the Browns don't have any film on Justin Fields as a regular season starter, right? Like they could totally mix up their play calling. I love the way Justin Field looks like around the corners, how fast he gets there. When he's scrambling and can get the ball downfield and run. I mean, he is an absolute threat. And on the flip side, yeah, I mean, it's one thing for the Browns to lose at Kansas City week 1. Week 2, struggling against the Texans. I mean, not struggling, but the game was close. I mean, the Texans were hanging in there. The Browns in their home opener. And I mean, people know that I'm hard on the Browns. I don't like Baker Mayfield very much. So if you listen to me, then you know that. And either you like that or you don't. But I mean, CBS Sports came out and they said what we learned about every team this week, and for the Browns, they learned that Baker Mayfield is the real deal. Like, he made some good passes, but against the Texans defense, man, I don't know. Like, we learned he's the real deal. You know, the Browns have been underperforming a little bit, and the reason why I'm hard on them is because their roster is loaded. I mean, they're absolutely loaded on both sides of the ball. You can't like that Jarvis Landry is down, but I agree with you. Odell back, you never know what that's going to mean, right? He's going to bring some drama. I like the fact that I got the hook at 7.5, but I still like the Bears at +7. This is probably going to be a play for me. Steve and I were probably talk about this play for Circa, at least it sounds like. But I think the Bears had the defense at least to hang in this game, and Justin Fields has an X factor of, you know, mystery that nobody really knows yet about what the Bears are going to unleash with him. I know Bears fans. I mean, I hear from the odds breaker himself how frustrated he is with Matt Nagy. And he's a Bears fan, you know, the coaching can use some help, that's for sure. But I think the Bears can hang in this one. I'm leaning towards the Bears as well. Let's go Bengals, Steelers. Steelers 3.5-point favorites at home. Banged up Bengals coming into Pittsburgh, but the Steelers are kind of banged up too, aren't they? The total is 43.5. We still don't know about Joe Hayden, Devin Bush, or TJ Watt. No information on that yet, and that just scares me away from this game for now. I did put a play on the Steelers already, and I gave it away as a premium pick. But because of this uncertainty with defense, I'm probably going to step back on that, and I'm going to suggest that my customers actually pull out of that bet until we know more. Because without TJ Watt on the field, I was assuming that he'd be back because he came in towards the end of that game again. But he's clearly like the MVP of this team. I mean, Big Ben does not look the same. That's for sure. I mean, he's hurting out there. He's just like tossing up the ball, inaccurate passing, and then sometimes he makes the passes. But it's hard to know what to expect from Big Ben at this point. But I think the Bengals a little bit in Week 1. You know, we were impressed by them, right? They got that win against the Vikings, but I think we saw a more authentic version of the Bengals last week. The Bears are good on defense. I don't think the Bears are elite on defense anymore, but the Bengals have a lot of issues. They have a lot of issues on both sides of the ball. If one, or I should say, if 2 out of 3 of those key defensive players starts, or if TJ Watt plays, I'm going to be on the Steelers in this one. So I lean more towards them. Second game at home, they have to be more buttoned up this time. That was kind of a letdown spot after beating the Bills anyway. So I think we're getting actually a reduced line for the Steelers at this point. At 3.5, I kind of like them a little bit more.
Yeah, so we all know what happened last year. The Steelers started out 11-0 and then came crashing down quickly. At least there's no drama with it this year. They're just doing it right off the bat. They looked atrocious. I mean, why are you drafting a running back in the first round and only running him 10 times? I really thought they were going to get back to old school ground and pound style football, and they still just look like that lackluster dink and dunk offense that we all come to know last year all too well. They just aren't getting it done. Ben he's already questionable for this game. He's already looks injured. He looks old. He looks slow. It's just not a team I really want to trust. But then they have the X factor of just being the Steelers and that they get up at home and can make those big plays and pull out wins. But the Bengals, they look tough. Week 1 against the Vikings, that defensive line was getting after Cousins. They weren't giving up either against the Bears. With all those turnovers that they had, their defense was still holding the Bears. You know, it only was a 3-point game when it all came. It's not like the Bengals got absolutely blown up. The Jamar Chase and Burrow connection has been there every week so far. One thing to keep an eye on, the right guard for the Bengals, he might be out, and it might be a rookie going. So if that is the case and Watt is back, you know, that could be a big mismatch that they will exploit. So look for that. Right now, I personally, with that 3.5 hook, I do like the Bengals on the road, especially if all those injured Steelers are a no-go this week.
Yeah, I love it, Steve. That's a really good point about the right guard, too. We'll talk about something that could be exposed if TJ Watt's in there. All right, let's go to Dolphins at Raiders. Raiders 4-point favorites. Raiders. I say it again, 4-point favorites.
Raiders.
At home, Raiders 2-0. Derek Carr has black hair. Did he dye it? Did he not dye it? We don't know. Was it always that black? I'm not sure, Steve.
Does he wear eyeliner?
He was wearing eyeliner. Does he wear eyeliner? Nobody really knows. Total is 44.5. This one's to you first.
Yeah, this game is very interesting. Looking at the bet percentage, 81% of the public, I think, is on the Raiders, and it was at 5.5 and went all the way down to 3.5, and now back up to 4. So that's kind of showing me something's up with this game a little bit. We got Brissett going now. Tua will be out, so the veteran in Brissett, journeyman quarterback. But the Raiders really haven't shown me a reason not to like them yet, especially they're back at home in the Black Hole Dome. Vegas is rowdy. They're going to be 2-0 coming back. The fans have to be rocking there. I'm going to lean the Raiders right now, but I stress but I'm going to really pay attention to this line movement with the amount of action that's on it and how much it did move in the other direction. Kind of raised those red flags for me, so I'm not sure if it's actually going to be one of my plays or not. But as of now, I do like the Raiders, what they're doing. They are slinging the football. Josh Jacobs probably is going to be out again. I think it's looking extremely doubtful. But keep an eye on Derek Carr as well. He does have he is questionable as well, but I think he should be good to go.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to blow up Bobo bets on this one because I totally agree with what you said about like this line is sneaky, man. There's something weird about this line for me because, okay, so the Dolphins just got blanked by the Bills at home, 35-0, and now it's without Tua, right? We saw what happened when Tua's out, right? Now they're only 4-point underdogs on the road in Vegas.
In Vegas
against a team that is 2-0. A lot of people saying they believe in them. Maybe Gruden's finally figuring something out. Offense can't be stopped really so far. Carr's balling out. He has moxie. He's airing it downfield. I mean, that pass. I mean, it was almost like, you're so used to the Steelers winning at home and just pulling out those games. And when Carr threw that ball downfield and let loose, and it was completed to what's his name, the speedy guy,
Henry Ruggs.
Yeah, Ruggs. When he completed that, I was like, holy shit! Like that is not something you see from the Raiders in that spot, and it ain't something you see from the Steelers dropping a game either. So I just feel like all of the momentum and the perception, everything is on the Raiders right now, but it's only 4. And I know that the Dolphins are a very formidable team, loaded with talent, especially on defense, but they're without Tua. And, Jacoby Brissett, not exactly a game changer. I mean, he'll get in there and he'll manage the game, but he's not going to, I don't know, at least, Tua was at least the, trusted starter heading into the season, looked good in week 1. This is just one of those games where I feel like whatever you play, you're gonna just, for lack of a better word, you're just gonna get fucked. I mean, it's just, I just feel like you're gonna lose in this one because it just scares me, man. Like the Raiders without Tua, with the way they're playing on offense, it should be a 10+ point win. I mean, right? Because Vegas clearly has a home field advantage too. But this line is telling me maybe we should think about taking Miami. And, Flores has all week to plan with Jacoby Brissett. That defense is legit, even though they kind of, they gave up last week, and we understand that. I mean, the Bills have owned the Dolphins anyway. This is sneaky to me. It scares me. And it'll probably end up being a circle play for us because that's how we are, Steve. But for now, I'm scared. Did you want to add something?
Yeah, I mean, but is it really a big fall off to Brissett though? When you think about it,
right?
And you have a week to.
That's
prepare.
A good point.
So it's like I look at that and I'm like, is that? I mean, because are the Dolphins even sold on Tua? I mean, there's all this talk about Watson and whatnot. So yeah, I'm looking at this line very closely, and it's hard to really pick against the Raiders at home, especially after we saw what they did against the Ravens in Monday Night Football. Yep. But this betting action is telling me a lot of a different story. And you just see it. Once you put it on one side, it just goes the other way. And it's one of those, I knew it, but I didn't do it.
Yeah, scary. It's scary, man.
Scary.
Okay, let's move on to Jets, Broncos. Broncos, 10.5 point favorites at home against the Jets. Jets starting to look like the same old Jets, unfortunately. Total is at 41, very low total. This game is kind of gross to me. I'm going to tell you flat out, I lean the Broncos. And I lean the Broncos because rookie quarterback in Denver at altitude, Teddy Bridgewater is very comfortable. You know, we both had a gut feeling at the beginning of the week last week that we should take the Broncos -6. You took them. It was off of our circa picks. They end up, beating the shit out of the Jaguars, predictably. This feels like another one of those games, right? Even more so. They're at home. Zach Wilson clearly a little, the nerves are starting to kick in. That Denver secondary is very legit. I mean, Surtain had an interception last week. They are loaded. They're deep. We knew that coming into the season, but now actually seeing it, very impressive. I like Teddy Bridgewater for that team as more than a game manager. He's a good leader. I'm looking at the Broncos 10.5 here, and I'm not looking at anything else because I can't take the Jets right now. What do you think, Steve?
These last 2 weeks, correct me if I'm wrong, it just feels like how many double-digit spreads are we going to have? It just feels like so many for such an early season that, you had the Packers, Bucks, Browns, and now this game. Fun fact, Broncos home opener in the last 21 years are 18-3, so just keep that in mind. Also, Bridgewater's record against the spread is now up to 23-3. So if you're playing the numbers that way, I don't see a reason why you would want to go against Teddy Bridgewater and his Broncos at home, like you said, at altitude, which is a thing. Going against a rookie quarterback. I mean, that's all this is. This narrative is going to be here. You got the Broncos defense is tough. They're a good defense. Wilson is going to make mistakes. We saw that last week against the Patriots on the at home, actually not on the road, at home, forcing the ball. He might settle down a little bit, but when a rookie quarterback settles down, he's going to get more conservative. I think it just plays more into the Broncos hand. Only issue I would have with this game is maybe trying to buy down that half point to get it to a 10-point spread, just so you don't get backdoored on a 17-point lead at the end.
Yeah, it's the 10.5 scares me too. Like if that was 9.5, I feel like I'd be a little more bullish about that one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Seahawks Vikings is a very interesting game. Vikings 2-point dogs at home, total 55. You got some of these good ones to go first, Steve. Go ahead, take it. Bobo Fett, let's go.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this one is a tough one here because with the Vikings especially, you never know what you're gonna get with Kirk Cousins, but you have to feel like this team is their backs are completely up against the wall. You can't start out 0-3. You just can't. Now you're at home, and now you got Seattle. Pretty tough task. But I do like the Vikings at home here if they could find a kicker. I don't know if they got rid of that one or not, but just atrocious last week. I do like the Vikings a little bit. I lean them, but I'm not going to go with the spread here. I just look at points, and more points in these games. I think it's going to be a lot of what we saw with the Minnesota-Arizona game, just a back and forth complete battle. Seattle's defense has a lot of questions to answer, giving up a lead like that. We know Russell Wilson. We know what he's going to do, especially early in the season. He's fresh. He's not hit 1,000 times like he is near the end of the season. So he's going to be able to throw the ball well. Can someone cover Tyler Lockett? I mean, Jesus. I mean, everyone knows where the ball's going to go, but can't do it. So I think it's just going to be a back and forth battle here, and I really like the over total. I believe is 55.5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, big over total. But I think these are the type of teams though that would be able to attain that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't think Minnesota is going to stop Russ, and the Seahawks clearly have a lot of issues on defense. Still, Dalvin Cook still looks great, and yeah, like you said about Lockett. I mean, have we even seen DK Metcalf? I mean, barely, right?
Barely.
It's crazy that he's on the other side of the field. Just that monster is still running and barely getting the ball because Lockett has been so awesome. This is a really interesting game. I think the Vikings are an underrated team. I mean, they're 2-point dogs at home. You might be able to hear my German Shepherd going off upstairs, but Vikings underrated, man. they're just, but I mean, because they should have won that game last week. They like woke up in week 1, still lost that one to the Bengals. I'm on the edge here though, because I'm trying to decide, is from like a motivational standpoint, is it more deflating that they should have won that game last week and they ended up losing? Or are they going to get up at home? I mean, you don't want to go 0-3. I mean, what are the statistics for teams that go 0-3 and make the playoffs? It's got to be like 2% or something, right? I mean, it's really low. I have to lean to the Vikings here. I mean, Kirk Cousins has actually been playing really well. He's been keeping his team in the game. He can go off on that Seattle defense. I think a lot of quarterbacks could. Defenses still have issues on both sides, but I would lean towards the Minnesota's defense more than I would Seattle's. I mean, Minnesota let Joe Burrow throw all over them, but then they settled into that one. And Kyler Murray's throwing all over everybody right now. So I don't really know what to take from that. I'm sure Russell Wilson will too. But Pete Carroll, you never know what he's going to do. Is he going to take the ball away from Russ a little bit more? I hate that he was talking ill about, I mean, he was implying that they lost in overtime because of Russ, which I hate. I mean, Pete, your team wins like 75% because of Russell Wilson. Don't talk shit against Russ. I mean, that's so dumb. So even though I don't have the key number of 3 here, I still like the Vikings at 2. Might be worth paying for a teaser or paying for a few points to get that up to 3 or 3.5. I mean, you'd be paying a premium on that if you had to do that. But I still like the Vikings at +2, and it's probably going to be a premium play for me. All right, Bucks and Rams. Rams +1. Rams at home. The dog. Total set at 55. And this is a rematch from 2020. If I distinctly remember doing this write-up at the adsbreakers.com and choosing I think the Rams were they were 3 to 6 point dogs on the road at Tampa Bay, and the Rams won straight up 27-24. I thought it was a great spot for the Rams. And that has me leaning to the Bucs side in this one because it's at LA. For me, this is a classic Sean McVay. He's going to get up for this. It's a marquee game. He's going to have a lot of creative plays. So, I kind of like the Rams in that regard. But Matthew Stafford, this is still, remember, only the 3rd game playing for the Rams. A lot of quarterbacks have saying, we've been hearing it from Peyton Manning, that the first year, you're still kind of figuring stuff out. The second year, you're a lot better. You're just a lot more confident with the new team. Now you got Brady, who's more confident than ever, playing some of his best football at age 44, and you're going to amp up Tom Brady because they lost to the Rams last year in that game where they were starting to win, and then the Rams got the best of them. If these two teams would have saw themselves in the playoffs against each other last year, that would have been really interesting. But I think Brady, as if he needs any more motivation, is going to get up for this one. Bucs, there's nothing not to like about the Bucs so far. I mean, they've got some work to do on defense, but it feels like they're just playing with teams a little bit here. Like they know that they can sort of play with them a little bit. I like the Bucs in this one, man. I mean, it's basically a pick 'em, kind of like the over in this one too. A lot of Bucs games have been going over. I mean, 2 straight weeks they have. So, the Rams, if they get to Brady, if Aaron Donald can get to Brady, maybe it's a different story. But Brady's at an all-time high in confidence, man. I like the Bucs in this one.
Yeah, I mean, this quite possibly could be a NFC Championship preview. We yet to be seen, but let's think about like what narrative and things that we could see that could play out here in this situation. So, like you just said, if Aaron Donald can get to Brady, that Rams defense, if they ball out and they get to Brady and have him and start swarming him, making him look slow, what do we see on Monday? Oh, is this the end of Brady? Brady's old, blah, blah, blah. They lost this game. It's the end of the world. Brady's career is done. Then Brady goes on to beat them in the playoffs. How many times have we seen this play out? I mean, 100 times. So don't be surprised if something like that happens this week. This is a pick 'em for a reason. The Rams are home team. They are getting that 1 point. The line did open up in their favor. I originally, when I saw this game, I had it at a pick 'em. So we're pretty much here. I'm going to lean to the Rams. And that narrative that I just know it's going to happen, that, oh, okay, the Rams are going to swarm Brady, look really good, get this win, and the Bucs are done. The Bucs got to lose at some point too, by the way. They're not going to go 17-0. I mean, unless this is the bit worst hot take of my life. I mean, do we think the Bucs are going to go 17-0? I mean, the NFC is down compared to the AFC, but if this was a spot for the Bucs to lose, I think this would be it. On the road, West Coast, going against the Rams. I'm going to take the Rams on this one.
Okay, Steve. Now I'm pretty positive about this one, but I just want to check. In support of your play, another question that we haven't mentioned here.
What's that?
Could this be a look-ahead spot for Brady?
Uh-oh. I don't think Brady does that, does he?
I don't know if he does, right? That's what I was questioning. Like, does Brady ever look ahead? But if he were to look ahead, Brady goes back to New England next week.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, man. I don't know, bro.
I think he looked ahead against the Eagles in the Super Bowl against Nick Foles. He was planning his Disney vacation, and it didn't work out.
Yeah. But, I mean, this is kind of – it could be that spot. I'm sure Brady will get up for this game, but Steve and I on opposite sides of this one. But it's tough. Like whenever I hear one of these narratives, I'm like, man, you're kind of selling me a little bit on this one, Steve. But the Rams are a complete team, that's for sure. But I'm gonna stick with mine for now. But you got me. I mean, there's a reason why it's a pick 'em, right?
Right.
There's a reason why it's a pick 'em.
There's a reason it's a pick 'em, and I'm just speaking out loud on the internet, so who knows?
That's all it is, the internet. All right, last game we got the hopefully I don't think I skipped one this time, did I?
No.
Packers at 49ers. This is another revenge spot. This one for Aaron Rodgers. Packers at 49ers. 49ers 3.5-point favorites right now at home. Total of 49.5. Steve, let's round up these picks. What do you think about this one?
Man, Rodgers came out and looked like vintage Rodgers on Monday Night Football, having, I believe, was it 4 touchdown passes? They were absolutely moving the ball, looked really good. Granted, yes, they were playing the Detroit Lions and they were down at half, but I kind of just like that they had that game to kind of get their swagger back. Big question for me is Green Bay's defense. They have looked absolutely atrocious. However, they did button it up in that second half, not allowing Detroit to get any points. But that first half, God, Detroit was moving the ball, putting 17 up on them. And we all know what happened week 1, obviously, to that defense. But I really do like the Packers on the road. Rodgers is going back out to California where he's from. He's getting 3.5. Not too many times you're going to get Aaron Rodgers at plus 3.5. Jimmy G, for me, is another game manager. Okay, they controlled the ball against Philly. They had the ball. They were moving it for 9 minutes. They couldn't get the Eagles couldn't get them off the field. And the Eagles defense, I think, is a lot better than the Packers. But I don't think Jimmy G can go toe-to-toe with the likes of Aaron Rodgers through the air. And I like that for Aaron Rodgers to be able, if it does get into more of a shootout type of game, to come out on top. So I do like the Packers at 3.5, especially getting that half point there on that hook.
Yep, we're on the same side of this one, man. I like the revenge spot here for Aaron Rodgers. 2 years ago, Aaron goes to, I believe, is in San Francisco. Right, San Francisco punks the Packers, blew them out. Rodgers has a fantastic year. Well, actually, last year was, really the fantastic. I mean, last year was the MVP year, but he had a good year in 2019. Still exceptional for most quarterbacks. And then they got blown out by the Niners. Aaron Rodgers does not forget that. Lord knows the guy's emotional. Hangs on to things. But 3.5, you're giving us the hook with the Packers. I think the Monday night game was a great setup for the Packers because you got to face a Lions team that you're confident against, figure yourself out a little bit. And it's not another Monday night game. It's Sunday night, but at least they get the Sunday night game. So they get all day Sunday to prep a little bit too, feel good about themselves. You don't have like an early game on Sunday, so you don't have as much time to prep. And so I'm on the same side as you here, man. 3.5 to the Packers on the road. Jimmy G looks okay, but Jimmy G doesn't look like, I guess he kind of looks the same, right? He's never really been a game changer. He wins. He wins games.
Yep.
That's what Jimmy G does. But I can't see this being a game where the 49ers are pulling away. I mean, if the 49ers are up by 10 points at the end of this game, I expect Aaron Rodgers to cover and to go right down the field and get a touchdown. So given 3.5 points with the Packers, we're on the same side. Also lean to the over, but I need to look into that one a little bit more because I'm just leaning right now because I think the offenses are going to succeed way more than the defenses. All right, let's wrap this puppy up, but we need to do two things first, as we always do every week here, laying the points with Farley Bets. Steve, what is your big balls bet of the week? Has to be a dog.
Big balls bet of the week. I'm taking the Saints money line straight up against the Patriots.
To be honest with you, I don't know what my big balls bet is. I really don't. I guess if I had to, it's not that big balls of a play, but I'd probably take Minnesota at home. I mean, they're still an underdog. It would probably be like what, plus 110 or something. Maybe a good parlay leg if you want to mix it up and get some more money there. So I think Minnesota is going to pull that one out. I can see both teams being 1-2 before I can see the Vikings being 0-3. They played well enough. All right, how about our teasers? What's your favorite teaser?
My teaser, a 3-game teaser. 7.5 points on each one. I like Dallas, Green Bay, and again, I'm gonna roll with the. Actually, no, I'm gonna take it down. I'm gonna take Denver down to, what would that be? 4? No, 3.
3.5. 3.5 if you got 7, yeah.
Yeah, 7.5. So it'd be 3. Yeah, it'd be 3. Denver 3.
Steve, NFL expert, not an accountant.
Not an accountant, not a math.
Yeah. Okay, so I actually have a few teaser legs that I like. I like the Packers teased up 7, but even more than that, you can go on either side for me of the Bucks or the Rams. If that line switches and the Bucks are the dog, I would tease that up to 8. Right now, you can tease the Rams up to 8 or 7.5. Either way, you're getting over that key number of 7. So I like both sides of that teaser. And I also want to tease the Panthers. It's the Thursday night game, but you can pair that up with other Sunday games. You can already get the first leg of the teaser done. The Panthers win, and then you're just waiting for that other leg of the teaser on Sunday or on Monday. So for me, Packers, Rams, or Bucks, or both, and the Cardinals. I think you have some great teaser options this week. And that will do it for another week laying the points at Farley Bets. We finally, I think we produced a pretty clean podcast stream here, Steve.
Not bad.
No issues. Yeah, let's knock on wood here. Hopefully it's like some shit didn't go down during the pod and we didn't know it.
Forgot to hit record.
Yeah, I forgot to hit record. But Steve, thank you once again for being here, and we'll do this every week. Everyone, just keep on tuning in. You can ask us questions. You can watch us. You can listen to it afterwards on Twitter or at the Odds Breakers. And until next week, as always, Bobo Bets, Farley Bets. Let's win some damn money. We out of here.
Later.